What if the image everyone is waiting for is not meant to impress you, but to unsettle you? On 30th of December 2025, the internet didn't explode because of a trailer, a love story, or a shocking twist. It exploded because Wang Yibo appeared as something fragile, restrained, and quietly unsettling, a mermaid who does not belong to fantasy, but to reality. And suddenly, waiting felt unbearable. What makes this look feel different is not the costume nor the transformation itself, but the intent behind it. When Wang Yibo appears in this restrained, almost withdrawn form, he is not presenting a version designed to be admired. He is presenting a version designed to be observed. There is a quiet refusal embedded in the performance. A refusal to charm, to explain, to reach out. The body language is economical. The gaze does not seek reassurance. Even stillness feels deliberate rather than passive. This is not a look that asks the audience to follow. It asks them to sit with uncertainty. For viewers accustomed to clarity and emotional accessibility, this creates a subtle discomfort. And it is precisely this discomfort that signals a shift. The look feels different because it resists immediacy. It withholds emotional payoff. It suggests a character who exists inwardly, carrying thoughts and contradictions that are never fully voiced. In an industry where visibility often equals value, choosing opacity is a bold statement. This look feels different because it prioritizes inner truth over surface recognition. And that choice quietly redefines what strength on screen can look like. The waiting surrounding this project is not accidental, it is structural. From carefully limited releases to prolonged silences, anticipation is not treated as a marketing gap, but as an emotional state the audience is invited to inhabit. Waiting, in this context, becomes participatory. Viewers are not simply passive recipients of information, they are emotionally positioned alongside the characters, who themselves exist in suspended states, between movement and stillness, desire and restraint, belonging and isolation. This slow reveal creates a rare alignment between form and feeling. The absence of constant updates mirrors the emotional distance within the story. Each withheld image, each fragmentary glimpse, deepens curiosity rather than exhausting it. In a media environment driven by immediacy, this measured pace feels almost radical. It asks the audience to practice patience, to trust that meaning will arrive, but not on demand. That trust, once established, becomes intimate. Waiting, then, is no longer frustrating. It becomes reflective. It gives space for projection, speculation, and emotional investment. The longer the silence lasts, the more personal the anticipation becomes. The experience is no longer about consuming content quickly, but about staying with a feeling, unresolved, quiet, and slowly intensifying. The mermaid in this story does not belong to fantasy. She belongs to the modern world, a world that admires visibility while quietly restricting freedom. This metaphor resonates because it is familiar, not mythical. The mermaid is seen, yet not fully heard. She is protected, yet never entirely autonomous. Her existence is shaped by others' expectations rather than her own choices. In this sense, she reflects contemporary emotional realities, careers shaped by performance, relationships shaped by control disguised as care, identities shaped by external approval. What makes the metaphor powerful is its restraint. It is never declared, never explained outright. Instead, it lingers beneath the surface, allowing viewers to recognize fragments of themselves within it. Under the direction of Chang Er, symbolism is not a puzzle to be solved, but a mirror to be faced. The mermaid does not represent one idea, she holds many at once. vulnerability, endurance, quiet resistance. This openness invites interpretation rather than agreement. Each viewer carries the metaphor differently, shaped by personal experience. And that multiplicity is what gives the story its lasting emotional weight. When artists known for selectiveness choose to collaborate, it signals something beyond opportunity. It signals trust. In the story, in the vision, and in the shared willingness to accept restraint over exposure. The presence of Tang Wei adds a particular gravity to this project. Her career choices have long suggested a preference for emotional complexity over immediate appeal. Her involvement quietly reassures audiences that this is a space where subtlety is protected. This collaboration feels less like a convergence of fame and more like a meeting of artistic temperaments. Each performer enters without the need to dominate, allowing silence, pauses, and incompleteness to exist naturally. Trust here is not loud. It is expressed through what is left unsaid, through scenes that do not resolve themselves neatly, through performances that resist emotional excess. For the audience, this creates a sense of safety, not comfort, but safety in knowing that the story will not be simplified. That confidence allows viewers to engage more deeply, trusting that their attention will be respected rather than manipulated. The physical demands of this project are often mentioned, but their significance lies beyond endurance itself. What resonates is not hardship as spectacle, but hardship as discipline. Extended periods in water, exposure to cold, and the necessity of precision under strain are not framed as heroic acts. They are framed as requirements, quietly accepted conditions of telling this story truthfully. This reframing matters. It shifts attention away from suffering and towards responsibility. The message is not, "Look how much was endured," but "This was what the role demanded." That distinction fosters respect rather than awe. Audiences are increasingly sensitive to performative sacrifice. What they respond to here is sincerity. The sense that physical difficulty was neither exaggerated nor exploited. It existed in service of something larger than individual recognition. This approach reinforces the emotional tone of the film itself: restraint, control, and commitment. The endurance becomes invisible within the performance, absorbed into the stillness on screen. And that invisibility, paradoxically, is what makes it powerful. Anticipation feels intense because it is built on emotional alignment rather than volume. This project does not demand attention. It accumulates it. The silence surrounding it allows audiences to project their own expectations, concerns, and curiosities onto the unfinished image. Over time, the film becomes less of an object and more of a question, one that viewers carry with them. In a market saturated with explanation and immediacy, restraint stands out. The absence of clear answers encourages contemplation. People are not waiting for spectacle. They are waiting for resonance. This intensity is quiet but persistent. It grows through conversations, through re-watching fragments, through the feeling that something unresolved is approaching. The anticipation is not fueled by urgency, but by trust. Trust that the eventual experience will justify the patience. Ultimately, the waiting feels intense because it mirrors the emotional condition of modern life, living with uncertainty, searching for meaning, and learning to sit with unanswered questions. In that sense, the anticipation is not external to the story. It is already part of it. This is why people say they are going crazy waiting. Not because of hype, but because the story feels quiet, human, and unresolved, just like many lives today. And perhaps that is what makes it so powerful. If you appreciate thoughtful storytelling, quiet performances, and the stories behind the spotlight, Subscribe to StarWatch now. Thank you for watching, for listening, and for waiting with us. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next story.